company dismissed. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Good evening and welcome to the Sky Blue History Podcast. Tonight is a special one, our 60th edition, our Diamond edition, in fact. And who better to celebrate it with than with a real gem of a player, Darren Huckerby, a forward who, alongside Dion Dublin, Neil Whelan and Gary McAllister, lit up Highfield Road on many memorable occasions for Coventry City FC. And after last night's fantastic win over Middlesbrough, it feels like the perfect place to start. Evening, Jim, and welcome, Darren. And thank you for coming along and joining our podcast. Brilliant to have you with us. But before I hand you over to Jim, I'll just have to ask you a couple of things. Firstly, last night's match, your thoughts on the performance and the way the season is shaping up for the Sky Blues. And secondly, you were very much off-the-shoulder striker back in the day, always playing on the edge of and occasionally being caught offside. Do you think VAR back in the 90s would have got you probably a few more goals?
I'll start with the first one. Yeah, good evening, gentlemen. Really good game. Good game of football. Both teams doing really well. I think it was massive at the time because, Middlesbrough had a lot of momentum come into the game. I think Coventry were having a little bit of a wobble. So I think definitely it turns the tide a little bit. And I think it puts Coventry in a real strong position now. Considering the start down to the season, everyone thought they'd walk away with it. And I think that played on the players' minds a little bit. So fair play to them. Showed a bit of character. Big players turned up. Centre forward scored hat trick. You can't do more than that. So, yeah, it's a good way to start the new year, I suppose.
Yeah.
And secondly, I'd have definitely had more goals and I'd definitely had more penalties. So,
yeah, you're always on the edge. And I remember we always used to say he's just too fast. I can't see how the linesman can possibly tell where he started his run from. And we spoke before he came on air, and I know we'll touch on it during the programme, but your goals were up there with David Speedy, Noel Whelan and Peter Unlove for me. Perhaps almost all of them are contender for goals of the month. They're incredible goals, but we'll touch on that. Jim, I'll hand you over to Jim now. Darren.
Yeah. Good evening, Darren. And I was a great fan of yours back in the day. I guess my first question is, how come you came to join Coventry?
Also, I was started at Lincoln and ended up going to Newcastle, and I was never going to get in the team with all the players that they had. So it was a matter of, do I stay there and not play, or do I go and try and make a name for myself? And luckily for me, Gordon Strachan liked what he saw, and I think I was his first signing. I came on his first day of his new regime, so Roy Atkinson finished.
Yeah.
Gordon Strachan started, and I was right on that first day, so I can't really ask for any more than that.
Who was it scouted you? Do you know? Do you remember?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. You don't know, do you? Because obviously back then it might have been the managers, but now they've got coaching, scouting staff all over the place.
Yeah.
So who knows? I'm pretty sure that back then, if Gordon Strachan didn't fancy me, I wouldn't have ended up at Coventry.
Right. And when you joined, did Gordon say, you're going to go straight into the first team, or what was his sort of message to you?
I don't know. It wasn't like you were definitely going to start, but it was more, I got to know the lads straight away, and I think I added something slightly different to what was already there. I know Peter Unlove played a bit like me, but I don't think he was as quick or as direct. So I think Gordon just saw that, with myself and Dion up front, would have a chance of, causing teams a lot of problems. And luckily for me, I think on my first game, I think I set Dion up after I came on after about 5 minutes. So that's always a good way to start. If you get the big man his goals, then he's going to take to you. And like I said, I had a great relationship with Dion from there, even going past that at Norwich. So we became good mates and we played a lot of games together.
Yes. I think it was one of those. You're one of those players who Coventry fans hadn't really heard about when you came. I guess you were in the Newcastle reserves after signing from Lincoln, but you came out of the blue to Coventry fans. I think you impressed us with. You made a couple of substitute appearances, I think, before you started, didn't you? Had your first.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely against the old enemy as well. So it's against Aston Villa. That was my first game.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
So, but I think when you're playing the third division, no Premier League fans really see you and know what you're about. So it's all about getting into the team and proving how good a player you are. And sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. And luckily for me, I hit the ground running and everything's okay.
Am I right in thinking, Darren, that Kevin Keegan disbanded the reserve team when you were at Newcastle, and that's why you had to get a move in the end?
Yeah, because obviously I've played a few games in League 3, as it was back then. And for a player, reserve team football is not great, and especially when there wasn't a team, because basically I had a lot of big hitters, first team players. There's not going to be many players who weren't in that first team who wanted to play reserve football. So they made a choice, and I think looking for me, it helped me more than anything, because if I'd stayed there another 6-7 months, you don't know if the Coventry move would have happened. So for me, it worked out perfectly.
Were there any other clubs coming in for you before us?
At the time, you don't know that, but I've been told there was other clubs after that. People who I've seen years on down the line saying, "Oh, we're watching you. We're going to put a bid into you." But as soon as I spoke to Gordon, he got that enthusiasm. And I think if you ask any of the lads that played in that team around that time, they'll say how influential Gordon was in their careers. So for me, he was somebody who could be hard on me when I needed to be, but also give me the freedom to do what I did on the ball. So it was perfect.
Well, you had a pretty amazing start for Coventry, didn't you? You scored your first goal against Newcastle, if I remember rightly.
Yeah. So you think that all the teams that you could score against your first goal, it's the team you've just left. So, but it was also nice for some of them players who I trained with week in, week out to see me play proper, and just to show them that maybe they didn't make the right decision. But in fairness to them, they did have Shearer, Ferdinand, Kitson, Espria, Beardsley in front of me. So it was a good move for everybody in the end.
Yes. Do you remember that goal against Newcastle?
Yeah, I can remember. I think it was Kevin Richardson put me through, and I was up against Philip O'Bey, and let's be honest, he was a good footballer, but he wasn't a runner. Right. And as soon as I knew I had 2 yards away, I knew it was just about getting the finish right. So if I'm racing anybody over 60 yards, I'm pretty confident I can win. So it just worked out well, and I took the chance really well.
Of course, those are the days when you used to actually celebrate against teams you used to play for. They don't do that, do they?
No, I think they don't do it now. But like I say, I only played two games as a substitute. So, even though I remember my time following there, I don't consider it a place where I did myself justice. So,
yeah,
it's just one of them things where the experience was great, because I played with I actually saw what the difference was between being a third division player to being a Premier League player, and saw what levels you had to get to and how good them players were. And I think that stood me in good stead for how I trained and how I lived my life after that.
Right. And I do remember that was a night game, wasn't it? Under the lights at Highfield Road, where there's always a good atmosphere. And if I remember rightly, it was at the West End you scored your goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Great ball from Kevin Richardson.
Yeah.
You think of some of them players we had, though. I used to take the mick out of Kevin Richardson because I thought he was about 95 years old. But he'd won the league twice. He's a born winner, and you're just thinking back, you're lucky to play with them kind of players. Gary McAllister won the Premier League, well, the old First Division, but still the Premier League. So just playing with them players is amazing.
Oh, I think Kevin was the first signing that Big Ron made when he became manager. I think it was a real statement signing. A guy to just anchor the midfield, and he didn't run a lot, but he was a good football brain, wasn't he?
Yeah, especially if you put Gary McAllister next to him, who he could do a bit more running, and obviously both of them had great technique, both of them knew the game really well. It's like sometimes as a younger player coming in, you need them older players around you just so you can see what levels you've got to get to. And for me, I came into it's probably me and Noel, really. We was in like a hardened Premier League team, weren't we? If you look at the back four, the midfield, all experienced pros. Obviously, Marcus was a bit different because he came in and out of the team. But yeah, we were very lucky to have them such hardened, Premier League players around us.
Yeah. And that was a big win for Coventry, Claudio, wasn't it? Because Newcastle were a star-studded team, and I think we weren't in relegation trouble at that stage. It's just before Christmas, but we weren't setting the world alight.
No, but I think what we did have, and probably Darren may agree with this, at home we were very hard to beat. We didn't lose. I think maybe in the first full season Darren had, I think we only lost 2 matches. I think that was Leicester and Villa, wasn't it? We were difficult at home to beat, and we gave everybody a game. I mean, Chelsea used to hate coming to Highfield Road, didn't they? That was
they did. So that season, Darren, you made your mark with, I think, 3 or 4 goals in the first half a dozen games, didn't you? But the season we got dragged into the relegation fight and ended up having to win that crucial game at White Hart Lane. What have you got any sort of general memories about that season as it sort of reached its climax?
It's one of these where I don't know, for me, because I'm probably new to it, but I always thought we was going to be okay. Because Coventry fans have had all them years of going against relegation. From someone who was a bit of an outsider, I was like, well, we've got the place to get out of it. Dion will get us a goal, or I'll nick us a goal. But you come to the last game and you've got to get something. Yeah. And obviously the game kicked off late as well, so we was up like 15 minutes behind. But we always had confidence. I had confidence in the players we had. Dion Dublin. The back four was proper players. Paul Williams, Richard Shaw, David Burrows. We had some real good players. So it wasn't like now where like a team comes up from the Championship and they're getting battered week in, week out. I don't think it was like that then.
No. The memorable game for me that at the back end of that season, obviously the Spurs game, but we had a dreadful run from after we beat Blackburn in the Cup. We had 7 or 8 games without a win, and then we went to Anfield. And didn't Big Ron come back into the fold for that game?
Excuse me. Big Ron was always there or thereabouts. It was even if for just a little bit of a moral support or to lift the mood, because he was very good at that. He was a great people person, and the lads loved having him around. But I think it was important that people knew that it was Strachan's team and Strachan pulled the strings.
Yes. But that game, on that game at Anfield, I remember being behind the goal when Dion scored in about the 93rd minute, I think, from a corner. David James was flapping, and Dion headed in, didn't he?
Yeah, he was pretty good from corners, wasn't he, Dion? He knew
he was.
We were. It's one of these things where we went probably the year after we beat Liverpool at Anfield again in the cup, but I don't think we played with much fear. Like I say, there's not many times we got manhandled by teams. We were always in games. We didn't always win them, but I think we gave as good as we got. Especially my time at Coventry, I don't think there was a time where we got turned over properly by anybody, if I'm going to be honest. Maybe Man United every now and again, but that's Man United, isn't it?
Yeah, well, as Claudio said, we had a great record against Chelsea, especially at home. We used to give them a battering at home, didn't we?
Yeah, I can remember one game, the infamous one where they forgot the kit. Yeah. I can remember Gordon dropped me for that game and played himself. I think he set up 2, didn't he, and got man of the match. So I couldn't even have a go at him after that. So he obviously knew what he's doing.
The shirt's hanging up behind me. I don't know if you can see it, Darren, the check shirt.
Yeah, what shirt that was, but Gordon dropped me for that game and played himself.
Did he say why, or what had you done wrong?
No, he just said he's going to change it. So, but like I said, I think he set up 2 and got man of the match. So I couldn't even go in the next day and have a go at him because it was correct. So what can you do? That's football, isn't it?
Well, that was I think the Tuesday night after the Liverpool game, and we thought then, well, two great victories, we must be safe now. And then then we got beaten by Derby at home and the penultimate game. And, the City fans are just, I think we thought it was all over, didn't we, Claudio?
Well, the problem was even if we won, it was all down to Sunderland and Middlesbrough not getting the results, wasn't it? It was.
Yes.
It didn't matter what we did in respect. We had to win, but of course we're relying on them not doing so well. Was it Sunderland? Yeah, Sunderland and Middlesbrough, wasn't it? But it's a strange season, really, because had Middlesbrough turned up for that fixture at Blackburn, it would have been all over, wouldn't it?
But in fairness to them, though, that's on them, because you can always field the team, can't you?
Yeah,
they were looking for an excuse, but you can just play your reserves. Who cares? You have that many players, then you can still field the team. So I don't worry about that. That's on them. It was up to us to go and do a job at White Hart Lane, and we did.
And what was the atmosphere like after that game in the dressing room?
I think it was just relief. It was just relief because the pressure's on, and as Coventry fans know now, if you go out of that Premier League, you might never get back. And there's been a lot of teams that have gone out of the Premier League and we're in dire straits now for one reason or another. So I don't think it's as easy as just you'll be back next season, because sometimes it never happens. So I think it was a relief, but also for me, we were kind of building something. Right. Myself, Dion, Noel, we had a great little partnership going, and we've got some real good players all around us. So for me, mine was let's kick on and let's go and do something in the Premier League.
Yeah. I think my thinking was the side. There were real signs that something was happening, but it was just that inconsistency. You win at Anfield and then you lose at home to Derby. Just needed that consistency. And the next season, I think we got there. The following season was a fantastic season. We got to the 6th round of the Cup. Should have beaten Sheffield United. Should have probably got to the final. Yeah. We had a fantastic run after Christmas. I think we won 7 in a row. I think we only lost 1 in 20 from January to the end of the season. It was a great season, wasn't it? Yeah,
I think we had some real good players. You get Rowan Nielsen. I don't know if he cost anything, but you get one of the best right backs in Premier League history. Coming in and playing Coventry, you add George Boateng, you add John Saltbert. It gives a bit of strength and a bit of power and pace. We had some real good players, and there's times in that season where I thought we could go and beat anybody. It didn't matter who it was, whether it was at home or away. I thought we could go and beat anybody, because we had a way of playing. We made it difficult for teams, and we have people that can cause teams problems. And if you're a Premier League team, that's all you want, really. That's all you want.
Yeah. Well, and the players got recognition. Dion got England caps, and you got. Did you play for England B?
England B, yeah. But I think that season, a quick little story. The PFA Awards, Dion got nominated for PFA Player of the Year. I got nominated for Young Player of the Year. Uh-huh. And Steve Bridge was getting a Lifetime Achievement Award. And at the there was a 6-minute intro of the season, and not one Coventry player was on the show at all. So there's 3 of us getting up for awards, and there was not one Coventry thing. So Gordon Strachan wanted us to leave the PFA Awards before it even started. But we thought about it, because Oggy was going to definitely win. Me and Dion knew we weren't going to win. So, but Oggy was going up there to get an award, that we thought that we've got to be here for that. But that just shows you the kind of disrespect that sometimes they show the lower. Because everyone loves the top 4 or 5, but the disrespect of them to not show one Coventry player do anything in that 6 or I think it was 8-minute intro was so disrespectful. But it is what it is.
I mean, that's Dion should have gone to the World Cup, shouldn't he? Yeah,
but we're going to the PFA Awards. We're being recognised. Dion, top 6 Player of the Year. I'm top 6 Young Player of the Year, and we don't get one clip of all the goals we scored. But that just shows you what football was kind of like back then. They did cater for the top 3 or 4 teams. That's just the way it was.
It's ridiculous, really, because like I said earlier, your goals, along with Noel Whelan's, Peter Unlove and David Speedy's, are some of the best ones I've ever seen at Highfield Road, home and away. we were talking about this. You didn't do tap-ins, did you? They were just extraordinary, some of your goals.
No, I think that's when match day was slightly different. So you used to get two of the main games, and then all the rest of the games got 20 seconds or something like that.
Yeah.
So unless you were playing Man United or Liverpool, you'd be one of these who gets 20 seconds. But now every single game gets a 25-minute, all the clips, all the action. So I think we got recognition, but I think back then, if there'd been that much people watching that much of our games, they'd have realised what a good team we were.
Yeah, definitely. Well, what good players we had as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, some real top quality Premier League players.
Well, and you saying you felt you could go anywhere and win. Well, you did go anywhere. You went to Liverpool in the FA Cup, and you battered them, didn't you?
Yeah, that was one of them games where kind of everything you kind of touch, works. We just played, I think, 3 days before, we just beat Man United at home in the league, and then 3 days later we're playing, Liverpool away in the FA Cup, where everyone fancies Liverpool to batter us. They've got some good players. Then they've got Owen, Fowler, Reeler, McManaman, a host of top class players. But on that day, they got nowhere near us. To be honest, in fact, they're lucky to get a goal. If I'm going to be brutally honest, that's how good we were. Was
that the introduction to George Boateng? Was it that game?
I think so. I think it was one of his first games. Yeah, but we, as the season gradually went on, we didn't fear anybody. And that was because we had a solid understanding. Like the players in defence and midfield were solid Premier League players, and we had Gary McAllister, who went on to go and play for Liverpool. George Boateng, who went on to do stuff.
Yeah.
But we had players that could cause teams problems. And that's like I say, any team in the Premier League now, if you've got 3 or 4 players that can cause the other team problems, you're going to do okay.
It's a bit similar to now, Jim, actually. When you look at our front line, we've got players across the front line who can all score goals and cause problems, which is an added bonus, isn't it, really? If you've got more than one focal point.
But they've got to turn up, though. So what's happened in the last 15 games? It's not really happened, has it?
No, definitely.
No.
So I know Hadji scored a hat-trick, but I think it was was it 2 games in 19 before that? So, that's where the problems lie. The start that Coventry had, it's kind of hopefully back at it now. Hadji will score enough goals to get you up.
Yeah. So the other big result that season, well, you mentioned the Man United and your phenomenal goal. How many times you asked about that goal?
Yeah, I think I scored nearly 150 goals in my career, but I think that's the one that is remembered most by everybody all over the place. To be fair, because it's against Man United, and it's the last minute of the game. But and it's a good goal as well. You could sometimes smash a goal from 30 yards and it can go anywhere and go in. But when you're dribbling past 4 or 5 players, it's not kind of luck. You have to run past people. You have to get in the right movement. You have to have the right ball speed. You have to get in the right position to finish. So it's a good finish.
Of course, and Noel nearly spoilt it for you, didn't he? By getting in the way, that was.
I think he blocked off one of their players, didn't he? So because he could have just hacked me down, and then nobody would remember the goal, would they? So he did a good job.
But you scored a great goal against Schmeichel, though, as well, didn't you? From about 25 yards, which rarely gets a mention as well, because that was a great finish. That was.
I think that was at Old Trafford, wasn't it? But we lost 3-1 though, so people don't remember the goals when you don't win. But
it was a wonderful goal, and it raised the roof, didn't it, Jim? That night.
It did. So around that time, the club bought Moldovan from Romania. What are your thoughts about that? Because it was a strange signing in that you were playing well, Noel was playing well, Dion playing well, and we pay over 3 million for another striker. What was the thinking amongst the players?
I don't really know, to be honest, because he didn't do anything that was exceptional. He was a half decent finisher, but he wasn't really quick. He wasn't really strong. He wasn't really good in the air. And I don't know. To this day, I don't know Whether it was because the World Cup was coming up, where they thought I don't know. It just even then, I can imagine. We were probably speaking, saying, "I'm not really sure about this."
Did he speak English?
A little bit, yeah. He was a nice little fella, but I just thought that if everyone was fit, that he wasn't going to play. So I didn't really get it, to be honest with you. I know Dion played defence quite a bit sometimes.
He did, yeah.
But that's kind of taken it away from what we kind of could do up front. So, yeah, it was a strange one. You have to ask Gordon that. He must have thought that.
Yeah. Because if you actually look at his record, he was never on the losing side for Coventry in any of his games. But of course, he is remembered for the bad miss at Bramall Lane in the cup replay.
Yeah, it's a tough one, isn't it? Because we should have buried that game in the first game. We really should.
Yeah.
And then did Dion play centre half in the second game? And it was me and Mulder up front. He played first game.
Did he give a penalty away in the first game?
I think he might have done, but I just think that such a big game, because we was such a good role. You just play your best team. You just play me and Dion up front. You play Noel just behind us, or Noel on the left, and then if you go out, you go out. But what you don't want to do is have 30 years later be worrying should Moldovan have started, because he shouldn't have done. Let's be honest, he shouldn't have done, because at the time we were a better fit, the three of us, the Moldovan in the team. Which but it is a drop.
Dion played with Gary Breen at the back. In the replay, but then Rowland made that uncharacteristic mistake, didn't he? For that that gave the corner away right at the end.
Yeah, but it's hard to make one mistake in 30 years. So
I know.
It just happened to this game, but
he's a fabulous player.
We should have put that to bed, though. They didn't have a manager at the time. They were. So they had that probably a little bit of a balance, and they had nothing to lose, did they? But we've got to be able to put a champions team to bed, and if you want to get to the semi-final or get to the final, you've got to do your job. And and then of them two games, for whatever reason, we didn't do enough. But there were some circumstances in that game where you're thinking, I'm not sure Moldovan should be starting, but it was what it was.
Yeah. So you mentioned Rowland. What was it like to play with somebody like Rowland?
He was an amazing player. It was a hard playing against him, like in training and stuff like that. I tried to stay well away from him. Yeah. Because he was such a good player. Could read everything you were going to do. In fact, I'd like to play against him when I was 29 instead of 21. So I think it would be a different kettle of fish then. But when I was a bit younger, I had pace and power, but know-how was probably not right at the way it should have been. But when I was a bit older, I think it would have been a different story. But Roland was such a good player. He's one of these who didn't make any mistakes. He was a quiet leader. If he told you something, you knew about it. Yeah. And he wouldn't just moan at you for any reason. It would be specifically to do this or do that. He was just an excellent player. Right.
And did you take a penalty at Bramall Lane in the shootout?
No, I was already off by then.
So, were you?
Yeah.
I think I didn't realise that.
Well, I didn't take a penalty. No.
You can't blame Darren.
I would have took one as well. I know the pressure would have gone, but I would have took one. And but it's just one of the things where I can remember after the game, I was thinking to myself, and the lads were a bit down, but it was like still kind of positive. But I never got to another semi-final again. No, I did it in Europe with Leeds and stuff like that. But from that team, that was a big chance. Because, like I say, that season, I fancied us to beat anybody in one game, no problem.
Yeah, and we'd have played Newcastle in the semi-final, wouldn't we? Yeah,
don't get me wrong, we're a good team, but we could cause them problems. It wouldn't have been like we would be fearful of playing against them, because we wouldn't have been. Obviously, it would have been a neutral ground as well. So, it's not like going up to St James's Park where they've got all the fans there. It'd be a neutral ground. Yeah.
I think I know so many City fans who talk about that night and think, yeah, that's one of the worst nights watching City going out at a penalty shootout at Bramall Lane. Were you there, Claire?
Sorry, Jim.
Were you there that night?
No, because I was convinced we'd win the first game. I'd got tickets to go to Villa Park to watch Villa play Atletico Madrid. So I didn't get a ticket. And I was there with a little transistor radio with the one little earpiece listening to it. And as far as I was concerned, we'd won the game 1-0 because it kept cutting out because the signal was really bad. And even as we were walking out the ground, I was thinking, I can't believe it. I think we've done it. Only to get to the car and realise it was extra time. I thought, oh no, somebody must have scored right at the end, which of course they did, didn't they?
Yeah.
But no, I missed it. I was convinced we'd win the first game. I didn't even, I saw Colin Moore score a great goal though that night. But
so that season, yeah.
And I was going to say, Darren, of that crowd of players, then who would you you'd hang around with socially?
All of them, all of them. We had because a lot of us lived a bit away, you see. So I kind of lived heading towards Nottingham way because that's where my family was from. So the lads would go out every now and again, but the younger ones, Noel Whelan, Paul Telfer, Richard Shaw, Paul Williams, Dion. But it wasn't like a crazy drinking crew, but it was, every now and then we had a night out. So just a good bunch of lads.
Were you ever with Noel on one of his crazy nights, or?
Not his crazy ones, but I was out with him. I went away with him a few times in the summer on holiday places. Yeah, so it's a real shame with Noel because in my career he's the one. I've said this to him, so it's not like I'm saying it behind his back. He's the one player that I don't think did what he should have done in the game. Because at one point at Coventry, he could do everything. He was quick enough, 6'3", good in the air, brilliant right foot, brilliant left foot, could finish, had a great engine. Yeah. There was nothing he couldn't do. Nothing he couldn't do.
I think we were blessed, really, weren't we, Jim? Because if you had Darren, Noel, and Dion, and Gary McCarthy, if one of them, you only had to hit two of them to be on form on the night, and you end up winning a game because of the way they could hit a ball, score goals, and like yourself, Darren, Noel scored some absolute beauties, didn't he?
Yeah, and the thing we know is if you wanted him to play up front, he could do, but he also could go and play on the right wing. He could go and play on the left wing. He could go and play as a number 10. He could play anywhere in them forward positions and still do a good job.
Yeah.
So you can't say it's such a shame because he still had a great career. But because I played with some real good players over my time at in Man City and Leeds and all. Noel Whelan was as gifted as anybody I played with.
Really?
It's interesting, Jim, because you got Dion, Darren, and Noel. Basically would probably struggle to get into the first team of the clubs they're at, and we took them on board, and they're absolutely fantastic, weren't they?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They were. Yeah. How did you get on with Gordon, Darren?
Yeah, at the time I thought it was probably a bit too harsh for me because he was on me all the time. But it's only now since I've retired and got into coaching and stuff like that. The things he did for me and a lot of the other players, I can never thank him enough for. It's like little things. So, for instance, we had a weekend off because it was international break. So he took me up north somewhere to watch a game, just me and him. Everyone else was off for the weekend. We drove up and watched the game so he could see how the centre forward could do certain things that I couldn't do and how I could improve.
Yeah.
At the time you're thinking, I just want a weekend off, you know what I mean? All the lads going out for a pint.
Yeah.
But it's only now, years down the line, you realise that he was trying to make you a better player. For instance, there'll be afternoons when there'll be just me and Dion and all the youth team lads working on different things and everyone else had gone home and you're thinking, we're playing in the Premier League, we're beating Premier League teams week in, week out. Or not week in, but enough times. And you say, no, but it was just wanted to make us better. And Dion ended up getting an England cap, which I was just as proud as he was because we were kind of a partnership. So You know, the work that Dion put in, not just me, but the whole squad was amazing.
Yeah, how does he rate amongst all the coaches you've had over your career?
Gordon, number one by miles.
Really?
And I get this question asked me quite a bit. Obviously, I played for quite a few different managers, different teams. But Strachan was the only one that wanted you to be better, just didn't just care about a Saturday. So basically, near enough every other manager I played for, all they cared about is you producing on a Saturday.
Right.
Obviously, they wanted you to get slightly better, but Gordon made an effort to make sure that you were going to be better in 5 years' time, not in 2 weeks' time. So that was the difference. Gordon, for me, made every single one of them players at Coventry better.
Wow, that's really interesting. I've heard that from other players, though. Yeah, he's very focused on improving the players. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was probably more of a coach, like a modern day coach, than he was a manager, like a Sir Alex Ferguson. Because he loved being on the training pitch. He trained every day, and he was near enough the best player every day. Well, him and Gary McAllister used to have a take it in turn who was the best player in training each day. But he was. I can't speak highly enough of him, because without Gordon Strachan, I wouldn't have gone and played where I did and for as long as I did, because his fitness levels made me change my mind about how I had to live my life and what I had to do off the pitch. So that was another thing that I tried to take off Gordon. Yeah.
Yeah, just answering your question, Claudio, it's almost like the sum of the parts are better than the whole, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Because you got someone like Paul Telfer in the squad who wasn't, because he wasn't a glam player, was he? Was never really a fan's favourite, I didn't think. People didn't know how to take to Paul, but he was an industrious player, wasn't he, Darren? But he was part of that team, wasn't he, in a big way?
Yeah, I think you need players that just want to do the dirty work. They just all they want to do is their jobs and make sure they do the jobs really well. I think probably Richard Shaw and Paul Williams was exactly the same. Richard Shaw was probably one of the best man markers you could ever ask to find. He could put him on anybody and they would struggle. Yeah. And Paul Williams, was a great centre half that he could go and play midfield. He can scrap when he needed to. He had a good left foot. So it's all right having your Dion Dublins and your Darren Huckerbys, but you need other players around it so they can go and do what they do. Even like Gary McAllister, he still needed a Kevin Richardson, a George Boateng, or a Tron Solveig to go and do a bit of dirty work for him. So
yeah. I don't know if it's true, but was it when Paul Telfer got called up for Scotland and he admitted he didn't know half the team because he didn't really have any interest in football in terms of watching it. He just did it as a job. Is that about right? Yeah,
I think he liked to pint. He was one of the fittest lads I've ever come across. So, he still liked a night out, but I think he liked golf slightly more than he liked football. So
yeah, and it's interesting that Gordon took him everywhere, didn't he? Basically.
No, because he knew what he was going to get. He knew what he was going to get. He'd be the fittest in the team, or one of the fittest in the team. Yeah. And he'll do his job, and he'll do his job well, 7 out of 10 every week. And it's basically a manager's dream.
What do you think of Paul Telfer, Jim?
Yeah, I liked him. I agree with Darren. He did a lot of the dirty work up and down that right wing, whether it was at fullback or as a sort of an old-fashioned right winger. He wasn't in the Darren Noel Whelan class in terms of skill, but he gave 100% every week, and as Darren said, did the dirty work. You mentioned Tron Solveig, and he did a good job that season. I think because Gary was out for a while injured, I think Tron came in and did a really good job, didn't he?
Yeah, Tron was a solid player. Scandinavian, worked hard, did his job, no airs and graces. But you think, well, we did that season, but that's with losing Gary McAllister for 5 months as well, 6 months. Yeah, and he's a big player for us. He's a big player, Gary McAllister. So that just shows you. Besides that, but I'm assuming Gary was for the cup cup quarter final, Gary wasn't playing, was he? He'd been injured.
No, he was out.
So it's like that. But you look at a player like that over 2 games. Would he have made us? Well, he definitely made us better. But could he have been the difference? Could he have organised it a bit better? Could he have created something? There's little things like that you're losing one of our best players.
Yes. Yeah. And perhaps in extra time at Bramwell Lane, Gordon should have come on. He might have made a difference.
Yeah, well, Gary Mack would have definitely took a penalty, wouldn't he? So,
and scored.
Yeah, he didn't miss many.
So the following season, because the saddest thing was that Dion left to go to Aston Villa. That must have been a blow to the squad, wasn't it?
Blow to the squad and a massive blow to me. I've been working with Dion now for the end of 2 years, day in, day out, afternoon after afternoon. And we had a really, an amazing understanding of how each other played. And, I couldn't, basically I just lost half my body. It was like, what do I do now? Who am I going to play up front with? What we've been doing the same thing for 2 years and it's working. I think 3 weeks before we left, we beat Chelsea at home. He scored and I scored. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you're losing not just a good player, because he was an exceptional player, but you're losing a leader. You're losing a focal point of the team. It was devastating. I know things happen and you don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but as a group of players, you can imagine losing arguably your best player, but also your talisman, your main man. It was a devastating blow.
There's one goal where he flicks it on against Chelsea, I think it is, and you chip the keeper and LeBeuf is falling into. There's nothing better than seeing LeBeuf ended up in the back of the net on his backside, all tangled up in the net. And that's a classic Dion Huckerby goal, wasn't it? And it used to be role reversal as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, so we do little things, we just had a great understanding, and for a team like ours at the time to lose Dion was a massive blow. Massive blow.
Did that affect your game for a while then, until you knew what was going to happen, or
not my game, but I was just not disillusioned, but I'm just thinking, if Dion can go, anyone can go. And that's kind of when you think you're building something, because we had the same group of players and you're all pushing the same way, and then basically your best player gets sold to your arch enemy. It was a hammer blow. It was a hammer blow. It must have been for the fans. I can't imagine what the fans felt like, because not to say the season before he scored 80 joint Premier League top goal scorer.
He was.
So straight away you're taking that out of the team.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a big blow.
It's nearly 30 years ago. It's nearly 30 years ago, and there's still fans who haven't forgiven him for going. So it's true.
You can't deny professional football his career, can you? Move to arguably a bigger club at the time.
I think you don't know the ins and outs. I've heard all manner of things, but it was just. I know I ended up going, and so I don't really know the full ins and outs, but it was a terrible blow for everyone involved, for the fans, for the players, probably for the management. The management didn't want to lose Dion Dublin.
No,
it's it was a bad day, bad couple of weeks that was.
Yeah. We've had previous players on here before, Darren, and a lot of them have said how happy they were at Coventry, but they're virtually told you have to go because we need X amount of millions coming in, or hundreds and thousands of pounds in the 70s. And as a player, he probably didn't have a choice. You were told you were going. It was even worse back in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine when it was time for me to leave. I told Gordon I didn't want to go. I can remember sitting on the hump in Brighton, just sitting there and telling him I don't want to go, and he just said the club need the money. We're accepted the money. You've got to go. So, but like I said, they went on and got Robbie Keane, and Robbie Keane was a great player. Then you end up losing Robbie Keane. You get Darren, who probably didn't do it as well, and you get relegated. And for me, my issue is if you don't sell these players, you don't get relegated.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. So it's difficult, isn't it? Football's like that, I suppose. But
yeah, but also you've got to remember in Dion's case, he was at an age where he just had one big move left in him, didn't he? Really, and the opportunity might not have come again for him.
yeah, like I said, I wouldn't begrudge anybody going and, I wouldn't say bettering themselves, but progressing.
Yeah.
But you're just leaving something you've been building for 2 years.
Yes.
Whatever happens, it's being broken up. Whatever happens, it's being broken up. Whether someone else comes in, or I think Noel went and played up front for a little bit.
Yeah, and they
brought
John Aloisi, didn't they?
Yeah. Because John's a great lad, and a good finisher, but he's not Dion Dublin, and it could never be.
No. I think the team after Dion left, I think things were a bit flat for a while, but you had a reasonable season. You got those 2 hat-tricks, didn't you, in successive weeks?
Yeah, I knew I was a pretty good player. I knew with the ball I could create chaos. I knew that I was hard to stop. But there's also spells where I had a few games where I didn't score, and that's when I could have needed a bit of a pep talk from Dion, or Dion could have nodded one down to me and I get a goal. It wasn't going to be the same when Dion left.
No.
And it wasn't like I was looking over my shoulder thinking, oh, am I going to be sold next? But in your back of your mind, you're thinking, are we building or are we stripping?
Yeah.
That's what.
Yeah.
I think.
But then,
sorry, Jim. I think that's how probably fans felt at the time as well, because you're selling your biggest and best asset, who the team is built around, basically. And I think as fans, that's why we were a bit, oh no, what's happening now?
Yeah, well, that's how I thought. I thought when we were playing for large parts of this 2 seasons before that, the team was built around myself and Dion. The way we played, the way we got our teams, the way we set up things, set pieces, going in behind, working off each other. It felt like we were a real solid team, and we played off Dion and myself. And when Dion went, you did not lose faith, because you still got to do your job, and you still got. But I knew things were going to be a lot more difficult without Dion in the team.
Yeah, I think when you find that clubs who sell a star player, the best clubs have a plan for replacing him. If you look at Brentford this season, they sold their 2 best strikers, and they've replaced them, and they're doing better than they were before. And I think it's happened a few times at Coventry where a good player has been sold, but their replacement for a lot less money has come good, and you've forgotten about the player who's been sold. But I think in Dion's case, he was almost irreplaceable, wasn't he?
Yeah, just because of the way we played, I think it's different if it's sounds daft. I think it's different if it's a wide man who's not central to what you do.
Yeah.
If it sounds ridiculous, but if Man City sold Haaland, they'd have to play a different way.
Yeah.
Whether they bring either side of that's slightly different. But Haaland's your main man, and the way we played, Dion was the main man, and everything else around him was built to make Dion look good, to make the team look good. And I know that's football. Don't get me wrong. But it was. We said it before, but it was a. I was heartbroken when he left. I really was, because he was my partner. He was my.
Yeah.
I was looking to play with him later on down the line, and so. But at that time, you can't lose Dion. You can't lose myself. You can't lose Robbie Keane. You can't lose Noel Whelan and expect to stay up. You just can't do it.
It's a lot of goals.
But it's not just goals. It's your perception in the league. It's what your fans think. If your fans see your best players, or supposedly best players, being sold whenever suits a club, not the fans, because it's suiting the club, not the fans. Yeah, and not really replacing them, because it's okay if you replace them like for like, or you try to, but eventually, all you need to do is get one dud or a couple of duds, and then you go down, and then like Coventry, they still haven't gone back up, and that's 30 years ago.
25 years, yeah.
25 years. So
You
Well,
mentioned
yeah, because Dion was the man who left in '98, but when in 2000 we lost Robbie Keane, we lost Gary McAllister went to Liverpool. They were irreplaceable, and as a result, they didn't invest the money well, and we went down. And that's those sales were probably as big as Dion being sold, and the effect it had on the club. And we're still almost 30 years later, not back in the Premiership.
I think you've become a selling club, don't you? I know every club's a selling club. Every club's a selling club, but as soon as you get that mentality where anyone can go, and the fans, it's hard for the fans to buy into it when you're selling your best players all the time. It must be difficult for you, like you just said, the Brentfords and the Bournemouths, because eventually it will come unstuck. It will come unstuck. They keep doing that, and then they go down. And especially how it works in the Premier League, if you don't buy straight back up, you're in deep trouble just because of how much wages you pay.
Yeah. Well, you've seen that at Norwich, haven't you?
We've seen it. We've seen it now, and it's not just. We're kind of okay because we've still got a decent fan base, but some of the other teams that have been up and down, your Sheffield Wednesdays, and you don't know where they're going to go, do you? You don't know where they're going to go just because money's not being invested at the right times, and it's difficult, it really is.
But it's interesting as well that if you look at some of the clubs that have gone down recently from the Premier League, they're really struggling. This season, Leicester are way off the mark, aren't they? We could even get relegated. And
Blackburn Rovers, Luton last season.
Yeah.
The Premier League is the place you want to go, but it also can cripple you. It can cripple you. And
you almost need a plan for when you go up. You've got to almost assume you're going to get relegated and have like plan B in your pocket for what you do when you get relegated.
Well, this is the big season for Nottingham Forest, isn't it? Because if they stay up this season, they'll probably stay up for a few years because of the extra money, and they can get the players in. But it's a huge season to stay up a third season will be massive for Forest, I think.
It's not so like they've probably got 30 players that are on real good money.
Yeah.
And if you go down with them players, 4 or 5 of them will get sold, but the rest of them, no one's going to touch because they're earning too much money. And then your club's in a real bad way. So I think Forest will be okay. I think they've got enough firepower to stay up. But like I say, it's a promised land, and hopefully it'll be different with Cogwell this year. But sometimes it's not all the be all and end all either.
No, but I mentioned Brentford, but you mentioned Bournemouth and Brighton are in the same boat. They seem to be able to sell players and have the next one ready to go into the first team. And unfortunately, Wolves, they sold all their best players and had nobody to replace them, did they?
Yeah, it's difficult. Obviously, the 3 teams you mentioned, Brighton, Bournemouth, and Brentford, they've all recruited really well, and they've done it over a number of years. Yeah. I'm not sure Wolves have. I'm not sure Leicester did when they went down.
No.
Forest just spent a load of money and hoped for the best, and luckily they stayed up the first season. Yeah. But there's no perfect way to. I think you've got to have a little bit of luck. You've got to have one of these ones where your players you bring in don't get injured, because that's another thing. If you could keep them fit, it gives you a better chance. Mm-hmm. So I don't think there's any perfect scenario where sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So.
Yeah. But you said recruitment is the key thing, isn't it?
Going back to those 2 back-to-back hat tricks, was one of those at Leeds, Jim? Where
no, Forest was one and Macclesfield was the other.
Oh, in the cup. But the Leeds game, the Leeds game's hilarious. Anybody watching this, go on YouTube and just watch Gary Kelly trying to trying to chase Darren. It's hilarious. All 3 goals, you've left him for dead. I think one of them he ended up on his backside, didn't he? It's incredible. It's a fantastic to watch. It really is, and 3 brilliant finishes as well.
Yeah, because I got to know Kells pretty well when I went to Leeds. And after the first goal, Ian Hart got moved off me and Carrie Kelly got put on me for the other two.
Right.
It's started up. I had games where it wouldn't matter who had been marking me. I was just too quick, too aggressive, and too powerful.
Yeah.
Too tricky. Some days you have them games and you're just hard to stop. Just hard to stop. And it's one of them games where it don't matter who would have been marking me that day, they would have been in a bit of trouble.
Of course, Gordon described you. Was it as one day you're a world beater, the next you're a carpet beater? Is that how he described you once?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, a little bit harsh, I thought, but I understand what he meant. I understand what he meant. He meant that I could have days where I would be unplayable.
Yeah.
And I could have some, I wouldn't say average days, but I've always thought that I could cause teams problems, but I still could be quite erratic.
Yeah.
Do
you think that go on.
I know the exact reason for that. I know it now is because when I was a bit older, as I got a bit older in my career, I kind of changed what position I played. So I kind of played left attack, left wing. And the difference there is you haven't got to score every week. You can create 10 chances. You can get a goal every now and again. But when you play up front, all the pressure on the team is you to score.
Yes.
I had some unbelievable games at Coventry, but didn't score. And it was like I'd never played. You know what I mean? So I could set up 5 chances for people and they missed. But because I didn't score, it don't matter. You've got to score goals. And if you play as as a two up front, you've got to score goals. So when I got a bit older and I played a little bit wider and played on the left wing and like as left of the three, it was much, much easier to make the right decision and not do silly things because I was trying to score. So I could create chances, I could do different things. But it was only when not the pressure took off because you still need to win games and create chances, but when I was a bit younger, I would do silly things because I always thought I had to score a goal. And when I got a bit older, I changed a little bit. So that's why I can understand what you're saying, because I did do silly things because you were judged on goals. That was it. It didn't matter what else you did in the game. All the people look at it is, did Huckerby score? Did Dion score?
Yeah.
And it was a bit different for Dion because it's hard daft, but Dion wasn't one who's taking on players and going past people and trying to cross balls in, because Dion would be the one who's in the middle trying to get on the end of it all. So it's just a little bit different.
I just
and of course these days you got these days they play one up front, and the pressure's really on, isn't it? You talked about Hadji right earlier. He's been getting dogs abuse in Coventry for the last few weeks because he wasn't scoring, and then suddenly he comes good.
Yeah, it's difficult because especially when the team's going for a bit of a bad patch, because they'll look, especially at Hadji Wright and Sims as well, are they getting enough goals from the chances that Coventry are creating? Because they do create a lot of chances, Coventry. Yeah. But it was always going to happen where you was going to have a bit of a spell where either someone was out of form or you get a bit unlucky. But you'd like to think that the players, the front four that Coventry have got enough firepower and enough good days in them to the end of the season where it's going to be enough to go up.
Yeah. Fingers crossed.
Yes.
So, did you think the hat-trick at Ellen Road helped you get the move to Leeds?
I'm not sure, to be honest with you. I think it would obviously put me on the map there, but I was told later on that I was brought to be a impact sub at Leeds. And if I'd known that, I'd have never gone. So,
right.
I used to do the same thing week in, week out. I used to come on after about 60 minutes, 62, 63 minutes, when people are getting tired. But, as a player, it was soul destroying. Whatever you did, you weren't going to play. Don't get me wrong, we had some good players here at the time, so I understand that as well. But I always felt that whatever happened, I would always be on the bench. So a little bit disappointing, and that's probably the only place in all the clubs I played for where I don't think I gave my best for people to see what I could do. Every other club, I thought, you got a good idea what I can do. At Leeds, I don't think they saw the best of me, but that was a bit down to me and a bit down to the way that the manager wanted to work.
So who was it Alan Smith then at Leeds?
No, it was coming through, but it was Michael Bridges, Harry Kewell.
Right.
So, it's one of them where we had some really good players. So it wasn't I should be playing week in, week out. I'm not saying that, but I do think that I was bought to be basically an impact sub.
Yeah.
And they went on to buy numerous players who were in and out as well. So it was just one of them things.
So then you went on to Man City, didn't you? And played with the GOAT.
Yeah, another great part of my career, really. It's one of them where Man City is such an amazing club. The fans are amazing. It's a proper club, and I was lucky enough to play there, score a few goals. Every time I go up there, I'm well appreciated. So, I was such a great club, Man City. I know it's gone on from where it was to what it is now, but the same people are there, the same fans are there. So, it's a superb club.
Yeah. And you played with Sean Gota.
Yeah, the GOAT. Yeah. What a guy.
Yeah.
An unbelievable finisher. Couldn't strike a ball properly at all, but it was always in the right place at the right time, and that is an art in itself. It really is.
Yeah.
If the ball falls you near enough 2 or 3 times a game in the right areas, it's not luck. It's not luck. You just got a natural ability to be in the right place at the right time. And he scored. I think one season together we scored 65 goals together, just the two of us between us. So that's some going.
Yeah, I think you put 2 past City at Main Road, didn't you?
Yeah, I think I got 1. I think Goat's probably got 2 or 3 that day. But it's one of them days where, on that day we were a pretty good team.
Yeah. And what made you leave Man City? Did you lose your place or?
Kind of, but it was more. Anelka came in. It was one of the time where they started chucking real serious money at it. And for me, I always a player. If I'm not playing, I want to go and play somewhere because it's a short career. You're one bad tackle away from it being over. So, I think when you finish your career, you should be judged on how many games you played and how many goals you contributed in.
Yeah.
So, I ended up playing a 500 games. So, I must have been doing something right. But it was more important for me to go and try and play week in, week out, than to be a bit part player and make 250 appearances and then, you look back and think, is that enough? Lucky for me, I managed to play over 500 games. So.
Well, you went to Norwich and you had a really good season in the Premiership, didn't you?
Yeah, I was lucky. Like I say, I played in a different position there. I was kind of playing left wing, left attack kind of thing. So, scored a lot of goals, created a lot of chances. I couldn't. Very lucky to have been at 4 or 5 different clubs and kind of been appreciated everywhere. I don't think there's that many players that can say that. So, I feel pretty privileged that everywhere I've been, the fans have took to me. Like they did at Coventry, like they did at Man City, like they did at Norwich. So, I feel pretty blessed that. For me, I think if you try and do the right things right enough times, that people kind of appreciate what you did, or do.
Yeah, well, I think being an exciting player helps, doesn't it, Jim, as well? With the people love to see that. It's the best sight on a football pitch is seeing a player run with the ball at the opposition defence, causing havoc. It's what gets you off your seat, which is what you used to do, Darren. Definitely, especially when you're at the City.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a bit of a dying art now. I think it might be coming back a little bit more. Things have been structured probably the last 4 or 5 years, but you want to see people get at people. You want to see defenders, on the backside and struggling when people are running at them. So, hopefully it'll come back into the game like it used to be, because you used to have proper players who used to run at people all the time.
Well, watching last night's game, it felt like it was 90s football with the long balls and all sorts flying in and tackles. I thought, this is what you want to see on a football pitch. None of this.
Yeah.
I think fans have got to a point now where the keep ball, it's just, it's boring as far as I'm concerned. I want to see action, surely.
Yeah, I think the game's definitely changing. Now 2 seasons ago, you would have never said there'd be a long throw anymore. But now every team seems to be taking long throws and throwing it straight in the box. So I think it does change. It goes with managers. When Pep's not here, it'll probably change again. People will play a different way. But it's up to the people on the ball to be brave and try and make things happen. It's easy. It's easy to lay a ball off 5 yards and give it to somebody else. It's hard to go past somebody and try and beat somebody. Have the bravery to keep going at somebody time after time when things aren't working. So, yeah, I think it will change back where eventually you'll see the players that like running with the ball and making things happen a bit more in the game.
There's one thing you're definitely active on is X, or Twitter, as the old school people used to call it. What got you into that? Because it's quite, I think it's quite funny because you put out an opinion and it all kicks off. So do you enjoy it?
Yeah, I do actually, because it's actually nice. It's actually nice, even though some of the messages aren't great back. But to have dialogue with people, even if they agree with you or not, as long as you try and be respectful. And I like to think I know a bit about the game when I've been in and around it for 30 years.
Yeah.
But it is funny that whatever happens, you can't see your team doing anything wrong. So it's really funny. Still, I try and be as unbiased as I can be, but it's hard when you follow different teams. But it's funny that sometimes people see things through such rose-tinted glasses. It's ridiculous. But I suppose that's just football, isn't it? I suppose.
You don't read all the replies, do you?
No, I tend to. I try to be quite. I don't know. I wouldn't say clever, but if people are getting a bit moany on there, just try and chuck it back at them. And at the end of the day, it's all fun. It's not real life, is it? So
no, it isn't.
Well, as you right, we have these players' evenings at Coventry now with the supporter clubs, and he was at the Leamington and Warwick one last week, and somebody, it was a young kid actually, put the question to him about, does he take any notice of social media? And I thought his reply was great. He says, I never read it. I don't value their opinion. I don't know these people. If it's somebody who's coaching me, then I'll take notice. But if it's X from down the road, I'm never going to meet this person. Why would I get upset over what he's thinking? And I thought that's probably a very good way of looking at it. But of course, for some people, it can get to them, can't it? They take everything to heart. So it's, but I thought it was a really good response.
I'd be interested to see if he was looking at it when he scored 12 goals in the first 8 games. But he was looking at it every week then. And then when he hadn't scored for 2 goals in 19, he's not looking at it then. But anyway, players are a fickle bunch, by the way. Players care what people think. I don't think I've met many players over the years who don't at least know what's going on and that kind of thing.
It's probably better in your day, because if I was annoyed, I'd just write a nasty letter to the Pink. And you wouldn't see it, would you?
This is obviously every player I've ever spoke to, even ones who played in the 60s, 70s, 80s, whatever, they all think that their era was the best. They always do, because that's part and parcel. But I generally think the back end of the 90s, early 2000s was the best of any kind of football. I think there were better players, teams had better attacking players. They just did. They just did. I had an argument with somebody the other day about Man United. They said, I said, back in the day, Man United had York, Cole, Sheringham and Solskjaer. That was their front four. That's better than anything now in Man United in the last 15 years.
Yeah.
And every team was like that. Chelsea had that kind of players. Viara, Casaraghe, Ulrich could go and play up from. Who else you got? Liverpool had Fowler, Owen, Riedler, McManaman. And every team was like that. They're not like that anymore. Teams have one player, one centre forward.
Yeah.
Like I said, when I was at Newcastle had Shearer, Ferdinand, Beasley, Asprilla.
Yeah.
It just back into the 90s, I feel blessed to have played and been around and played in the back end of the 90s and early 2000s. People like Matt Letizia, people like that, just.
I'll tell you what, I'd have loved to see you on the pitches nowadays, Darren, because the CBS is like a carpet, the same as Carrow Road. I mean, Carrow Road was pretty good back in the day anyway, but the pitches now, Jim, are amazing, aren't they? To what these lads used to play.
Yeah.
A sandpit.
I actually said to somebody Yeah, Anfield Road was terrible at times, wasn't it? It was terrible.
Yeah.
I think the goals against Forest, literally, you're actually looking at where the ball's going and where the player is, so you don't go down a divot where you dribble with the ball. So nowadays it would be a doddle. How would it stop you? How would it stop you? Just knock it past her and run. They wouldn't have a chance of stopping you.
Yeah.
So Darren, have you got obviously the Man United goal was the one the most memorable, but have you got a favourite goal you scored for Coventry?
Third goal against Forest was good in the hat-trick.
Right.
And the second goal against Leeds was good. The one where I made Gary Keller fall on his backside. So one of them would, I think any one of them three. And if you say,
they're all on YouTube, aren't they? So,
yeah.
Yeah. So anybody watching, get to YouTube and look at those goals.
I think if you look at them 3 goals, that was the part of how I played. So
yeah,
that was me running with the ball, trying to commit people.
Yeah.
Being aggressive, and hopefully some good finishes in there as well. So.
And if all the players you played against, who would you say was the toughest opponent?
Dirtiest was dirtiest was Martin Kieran.
Who?
Martin Kieran was the dirtiest. He'd be like pinching you and stamping on the back of your heels and all that kind of stuff. But the best one I played against was Jaap Stam by miles.
Good.
Just too big, too strong, quick.
Yeah.
I was quicker than him, but he was twice the size of me and was quick enough where it was virtually impossible to get around him. And he would kick you. He was aggressive. Yeah, he was proper.
Yeah. Was there anybody that could handle your pace by their positioning and, brain?
To be honest with you, the way I kind of played, I didn't think anyone could stop me, because I looked at it this way, that I've only got to get past you once to put one ball in, or I've only got to get past you once to get a shot in. You've got to be perfect for the whole game. And I just didn't think anyone. Don't get me wrong, there were times where I put in a bad ball or I had a poor shot, but in my mind, I'm pretty hard to stop for 90 minutes. Because I'm that quick, that aggressive, that I only have to be good for 10 seconds. You've got to be good for the whole game. So in my mind, I always thought that it didn't matter who I was playing against, and I played against some top players, Rio Ferdinand, for all the Man United teams, all the Arsenal teams, unbelievable right backs. I always thought that over 90 minutes, I'm going to be able to create 1 or 2 chances.
Yeah.
So
did you ever?
Sorry, sir.
Did you ever? I was going to say, did you ever play against Richard Shaw after you left City?
Yeah.
And how did you get on?
He tried. I think we won. I think he played against him was at Man City. I think, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
He would have done. He would have been. I know what Shaw's doing. He'd be trying to get in my head, trying to put me off.
Yeah.
But he's a good guy, man. I've got a lot of time for Richard Shaw and Paul Williams. They're both top I was lucky enough to call them my teammates. So brilliant boys.
And also, Jim, in those days, defenders were allowed to tackle. I mean, and go through the back of you. This is what something Darren had to deal with. Now he'd have the time to turn on the ball, wouldn't he? There's not going to be you're not going to get hammered from behind, are you, for a start?
And I tell you what's changed a lot now, especially because I played a lot on the left wing, so I played against fullbacks. The old school fullbacks were very, very good players, like Rowan Nielsen, people like that. They knew how to defend. Mark Edworthy, another one I played with at Norwich, and it was at Coventry. They knew how to defend. A lot of these defenders, fullbacks now, basically they are wingers that weren't good enough to be wingers anymore.
Yeah.
So often can't defend properly. They don't know what they're doing. They've got a bit of pace, but they've got no know how to defend.
Yeah.
I think I'd have had a field day.
Yeah.
I'd had a field day. That's what I honestly believe. But
so you come into Legends Day.
Yeah. I'm Norwich away at Leicester, so I've managed to get the afternoon off. So I'm going to drive down and hopefully get to see everybody. Hopefully get to see another win, obviously against a Stoke team that are doing okay this season. So it's a big game.
Yeah, they are. It'd be a tough one, but You know, we've got the best home record in the Football League now. 13 home wins out of 17. It's not bad, is it?
No, it's very, very good. But this is where the pressure really starts. Obviously, winning the Championship twice, once with Norwich, once with Man City.
Yeah.
This is where it counts now, though. It don't matter what's gone off before. You know, Coventry got the nose ahead. So it's up to, and they've got a target on the back now.
Yes.
But I do believe that they've got enough, especially attack wise. You know, Grimes is a great player. Ticks the game over well. But it would be, you know, till the other day, I'm thinking it would be disastrous if Coventry don't go up this season. It'd be a disaster.
Yeah, this is the season.
Well, it's got to be. It's got to be.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, to have such a good start, and the ground's bouncing. You know, everyone's pushing in the right direction. It's got to be now. It's now or never.
Yeah, and I think the introduction of Onyeka could be the missing piece, because his energy yesterday was incredible. I thought, to come straight in, looked like he'd been playing with us all season.
Yeah,
and you need that in a team if you're challenging to get up the table. You need it.
Yeah, he puts his foot in, then he gets around a little bit.
There were echoes of George Boateng for me there.
Yeah. You just need something that's going to get you over the line. Right? Now it's just about, you know, the game against Middlesbrough could be the turning point where, you know, before the game, and the manager has said, "Boys, this is it. You know, if we lose this game, we're dropping off. The teams underneath you are coming still." So I think for the players, that'll be a big momentum shift. It really will. I think that, you know, from now on, they'll be thinking it's ours to lose now. It's ours to lose. We've just got to go for it.
Well, that's been a fabulous hour or so, Darren. And before we go, Claudia, can I just mention the Sky Blue Archive website?
Definitely, yeah.
Because we're back up and running now, and it's we've got every match detail up since 1919 now. It's all there, and we're getting a lot of traffic on the website. We've got a lot more to do. We've got a lot of player profiles to put in, loads of pictures, and the digital museum to develop. But really want to make an appeal for help. We've got sponsorship packages available for local businesses or individuals. We'd like fans to think about donating memorabilia, whether it's programs or replica shirts. If people have got really special items they don't want to donate, they can let us know. We can keep a record of it, and when we have the museum at some stage in the future, we can borrow their memorabilia and display it. So anybody out there has got some really tasty stuff, please get in touch. My email's on the bottom, claryborton@gmail.com. So it's going really well. We had tremendous interest over the weekend, and the club actually put an advert on the scoreboard last night. Did you see that?
Yeah, brilliant. Absolutely. Well, I was having a look today. Actually, I had a little ponder. It's brilliant. Have you kept anything from the City days, Darren? Any shirts, or were you allowed to?
We only used to get one a season, didn't we? Or two a season. The only ones I've got is when I left. If I played against Richard Shaw or Paul Williams, or I would swap shirts with them, and then I'll keep that as a keepsake for me. But no, I haven't got literally anything left of any of the teams, really.
No. You got your medals. You got your medals though from Norwich and Man City.
Yeah. They're in my safe somewhere, wherever that is. Yeah, so they're nice, and you know, like I say, if Coventry managed to get up and win the league, you know, I'm sure the players will be keeping theirs.
Did you ever play at Wembley?
No, never.
Oh, what a shame! What a shame.
Yeah. It's a shame because, you know, I think I was probably good enough for an England cap, but there's also better players than me that didn't get one. So it's what it is, isn't it?
Would that semi-final have been at Wembley, by the way, against Newcastle that season?
No, it's been Villa Park, one, I'm guessing, maybe.
Yeah.
Because
Sheffield United played Newcastle, I think, at Old Trafford.
Oh, was it? I know.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But Darren, it's been marvellous having you on. Really great. And you gave me hours of fun and entertainment and frustrations when the linesman's flag used to go up. But I reckon with VAR, you'd have been onside for at least 75% of those, I reckon.
And I do reckon that the officials weren't as fit as they are now. So they were always 5 yards behind, weren't they? Always.
Yeah. And I always thought you were unlucky. I'd love you to come on to our other channel, Sky Blue Fans TV, because there'd be loads of fans who'd want to ask you questions about all sorts of things, which I'm sure.
Yeah,
hopefully,
I'm sure I can do that. Not a problem.
Brilliant, Jim. It's been fantastic, hasn't it?
Yeah, really good. And I look forward to seeing you on Legends Day, Darren.
Yeah, looking forward to it. A couple of weeks. Hopefully, a couple of wins by then, and we'll see.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thanks
If you do want to suggest any players you should try and get hold of, or about your memories, to talk about your memories, remember you can contact Jim at claryborton@gmail.com. This is our 60th episode, which is incredible, really.
Yeah.
I hope you're not offended that it's taken us this long, Darren, but I saw you on Twitter. I thought, I've got to ask him. So and you responded straight away. So it was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
No problem at all. No problem at all.
So we'll be back. Oh, have we got one next week? We're playing, aren't we? Probably not.
No.
Right.
We're at Bramall Lane next week, aren't we?
Yeah,
tough game, that. Tough game.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, we got the Baggies and Sheffield United away, so who knows? This could, and they're at home, aren't they? And yeah, let's not talk about it. All right. Good night, and we'll catch you all soon. Cheers.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Good night, Darren.
Thank you.
Cheers, Darren. Thank you.
Radio Company of Business. Thank you very much. Lovely.